This is Dr. Susan Thrall. I'm going to show you several examples of how to change your column headings in a crosstab query. Here we have a crosstab query which has two column headings that don't make much sense. So let's go and look at the table from which this was developed. Here's our table of data, and we have the agency name, we have net donation column, and we have a pickup required column. In the pickup required column, a check mark means yes, we have to go and pick up the goods. No check means no, we don't have to pick up the goods. Pickup required is a yes/no type field. So in our crosstab, we have a 1 and a 0. What do these mean? A 1 means yes, a pickup is required. A 0 means no pickup is required. Now notice Kansas Social Services. So when we do this and change the names, we're going to look back at this. Kansas Social Services requires no pickup for the entire amount of donation. All right, going to Design View, we're going to change the column headings. Now, which field do we choose? It has to do with whether a pickup is required, so this is the one we're going to change. We're making the computer choose between two column headings. The if structure is what is used when we want the computer to make a choice. So we're going to click on the field name, and we're going to use the build box to build this. We delete out what's there when we get into the expression builder. We know we have to use the if function. We've discussed that before in a previous video. If is a built-in function, and I'm just going to pick it off the list, and up comes the parts that we have to fill in. We have to fill in an expression. That's the three-part condition we've talked about previously. We have to fill in a true part. What happens if this condition is true? What do we want the computer to do? And we have to build in a false part. What do we want the computer to do if that expression or condition is false? Now, we've learned previously that the expression is built of three parts, with one exception. If the field you're having the computer look at is a yes/no field, you do not have to build in the three parts. You do not have to use a relational operator nor a true or a false. We can just use the field name. So instead of writing if pickup required equals true, or if pickup required equals false, we can just put in if pickup. And computer people have agreed that if you see just the field name, we're checking whether it's true. So I'm going to type in the field name, pickup required, making sure I spell it and space it correctly. Capitalization doesn't count. All right, what do we want to happen if pickup required is true? We want it to put in the column heading, say yes, pickup. Notice we put our column heading in double quotes. What column heading do we want if this is false? No pickup required. Well, we can put in no pickup. And again, we put it in double quotes. So we're saying here, if pickup required is true, then put in the column heading yes pickup. If it's false, put in the column heading no pickup. When I run the query, I see the two column headings that I had. Now notice the computer alphabetizes the column headings. So N comes before Y, so the no pickup is before the yes pickup. Remember Kansas Social Services? It didn't require any pickups. There it is, no pickups required. The yes pickup is empty. So this is how you change the name of a yes/no field. Now what if your field is not a yes/no field? Then what do you do? So let's open another database. And in this database, I've built another crosstab. This crosstab query shows the various cities that the students are taking musical lessons in, the total of monthly cost of the lessons they're taking, and I chose just to have guitar and violin lessons. So we had a choice of two. Once again, if you're using the if, you're making the computer choose between two options. In this case, it'll be guitar and violin. Now you might look and say, well, those are okay column headings. Everyone understands this means guitar lesson, this means violin lesson. It's not as obscure as the previous 1 and 0 that we had. But let's say we wanted to change these column headings to something else. Let's say we wanted to say guitar lessons and violin lessons. How would we change that? Going to Design View, we choose the field that it refers to, which is lesson type. Once again, I right-click, choose Build to get into the Expression Builder, delete anything that's there. I choose the if function because I'm having the computer choose between two different column headings, violin lessons and guitar lessons. So I have the same three parts that I have to fill in as before. But this time our expression or condition must have the three parts because we are not looking at a yes/no type field. Violin and guitar are in a text type field, so we must use the three parts. So I'm going to use the field name, lesson type, making sure I spell and space it correctly, and this time I'm going to use the relational operator equals, and I'm going to say it equals violin. I could just as easily have said equals guitar. Notice because violin and guitar are text, I have to put them in the double quotes. So what I'm saying here is if the lesson type is violin, what do I want as the true part? Well, I want my column header to say violin lessons. And what if it's false? What if the lesson type is not violin? Then I want it to say guitar lessons. So I'm changing the column headings depending on whether the lesson type is violin or not. So if this is true, it'll say violin lessons. If this is false, it'll say guitar lessons. And since lesson type is a text field, I must use the three parts that you have to use for any condition: the field name, your relational operator, and what it is you're looking for. When I run my query, I have the two column headings. And once again, notice the computer puts them in alphabetical order: guitar lessons and violin lessons. So that is how you change the column headers in a crosstab query. It's very easy to do using the if statement.